abortions in prisons have fallen by 75%, despite the rise in general population. I'm going to read into this exclusive from Open Democracy, guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with an exclusive from Open Democracy with the headline that abortions in prisons fall by 75% despite the rise in general population. Experts fear inmates face barriers to healthcare as abortions decline in prison while rising among the general public. So, as you know, the general population is in the rise. You may not be aware that the general population as a whole in the UK is on the rise. But while we know that there is an issue with a crumbling healthcare service in the UK, what we're missing out here, and this is a great point here and this would be great point by Open Democracy, and I'm glad they've highlighted this, is that women's prisons, those who are pregnant, and are they getting the healthcare treatment or not? Well, according to this, apparently they're not getting that treatment, and this is absolutely shocking to say the least. And the first thing that comes to my mind is why? Why is this happening? Who is ultimately responsible? Is it the healthcare service? Or is it the government? And once again, it's austerities measures that are taking place. What is the prison minister doing about this? These are the questions that we want answers for, guys. So the number of prisoners in England having an abortion fell by 75% in 2 years, sparking fears that the detention system is failing to provide proper healthcare. Only 7 women in an English prison have had an abortion in 2021, compared with 28 in 2019, according to data obtained by Open Democracy under the Freedom of Information Act. So let me just stop right there. So only 7 women have had an abortion. So they've not been given a fundamental right. Okay, I get that there is a differentiation when it comes to those when they are obviously paying for their crimes. They must do their time. They should still have a choice of whether or not they want to have the baby or not, and they should be given that option to do so, and they should not be excluded on it based on the fact that they are a criminal, in my opinion. Now, you can disagree with me on that, but in my opinion, it should be a woman's, regardless of whatever their situation is. You know, I've said this before about when we talked about abortions last time, that it's a woman's right to choose what they want to do with their body. Now, in this situation, obviously, we're talking about women who are convicted of crimes and are serving time, for them. That should no way advocate their right to be able to decide whether they want to, of what they want to do with their body, as opposed to having a baby or not. They should still be able to have that fundamental right, despite the fact that they are a criminal. There are certain things that men and women as criminals that should not have. In my opinion, they should not have the right to vote. That's just my personal belief. But in this instance, especially with abortion, it should be a woman's choice. Especially, well, I say especially, but it's not really especially. But even criminal women should be able to have that choice as well, whether or not they want to have that baby. It should be up to them to decide. And if this is to be true, then many women have been denied the right to cancel having a baby. And it's easy to turn around and say that you shouldn't. It's easy for guys to turn around and say, oh, you shouldn't have got knocked up, or you shouldn't have slept, or you should have wore a condom, and all this malarkey. But every situation is different. You know, and we're going to have and there's going to be situations where there are women who get into this, fall into circumstances where they end up being pregnant at no fault of their own, and they don't want it. There are circumstances where they fall into that by mistake and they don't want the baby. Obviously, it's the complete opposite for some people. Everyone is different, yes. But the woman should have the right, whether or not they want to have that baby. Her body, her choice. How many times have we said it, guys? The number of abortions among the general public rose by almost 7,000 over the same time period, reaching a record high of 214,869 in 2021, and there have been similar numbers of pregnancies in prisons in England each year since 2019. Kirsty Kitchen, the head of policy and communications at Birth Comparison, says the findings suggest that our prison system is unable to provide healthcare for pregnant women equivalent to that available in the community. Wow. That number's insane. She added the Ministry of Justice, HM Prison and Probation Service, and NHS Health and Justice need to look at this new data as a matter of urgency, and published a long overview review of health and social care in women's prisons. Kitchen's worry were echoed by Claire Murphy, the Chief Executive of the British Pregnancy Advisory Service, the BPAS, who described the large fall in abortions in prisons as deeply concerning. The increased demand for abortion care among the public, the number carried out last year, is expected to be another record high when the figures are published in January. This has been attributed to in part to greater financial insecurity, but also to improved access in recent years. Pills by post, where both pills are needed for early medical abortion, may be taken at home without the need to attend a hospital or clinic, was introduced in April 2020 in response to COVID and made permanent in August 2022. It now accounts for almost half of all terminations. But between the service launch in April 2020 and June 2022, only 2 women in prison used it. A further 5 women made 2 separate trips from prisons to a hospital or clinic for medical terminations, and the rest required surgical terminations due to genitalian lengths. Asked whether the introduction of pills by post was likely to have led to a decline in women arriving in prisons in some need of abortions, Murphy said no, as women's needs have also increased in tandem. Murphy continued, there is no reason why the need for abortion care would have been reduced among prisoners who, in our experience, may be at a greater risk of unplanned pregnancy and are also at a high risk of needing terminations at a later gestation. She added that BPAS has a specialist pathway in place to support prison healthcare terms to facilitate appointments for abortion care and would welcome any opportunity to work with prisons going forward. Why not provide these pills have these pills provided for women for women in prisons? Why are they not there available for them? Is there a reason why they're not available for women in prisons? Can someone let me know in the comment section down below why that could not be done? Like, the option is there for them. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I'm standing here I'm a white male, so I don't obviously know what it's like for a woman to go through all these things. But if the pill stops the baby, stops the abortion, and kills the baby, and the woman wants to be able to choose to do that, why is that option not available to them? Is the question that I have. Complete contempt for women. Pregnant prisoners are missing more than a fifth of their midwifery appointments due to difficulties accessing health and care services, according to research from the Nuffield Trust. When women must leave prisons to access abortion care, any delay risks them nearing the legal time limits for abortion. Candidate, a former employee at the HMP Stray, who requested that only her first name be published, saw an inmate suffer a botched abortion as a result of a missed appointment. That's horrible. The woman had been driven almost 40 miles to take the first abortion pill under supervision in late 2019, but wasn't taken back to get the necessary second pill due to lack of available escorts. This can lead to an increased nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and extended periods of cramping and bleeding, all without terminating a pregnancy. Oh my God, that's horrible. The inmate was forced to return to the clinic for a surgical abortion at a later date. That's horrible. Absolutely abominable pain. I can't imagine what she was going through. That's horrible. Everything to do with the process by which women in prisons went for terminations was so wrong, Candid told openDemocracy. The way they are treated is despicable. This was echoed by Akimawa Lasaria, who leads the Level Up Abortions for his healthcare campaign. She said, the prison system poses further barriers to access abortion, showing complete contempt for women who are trapped there. Kitchen of birth comparisons. Research shows that high levels of miswifery and obstructive appointments for pregnant women in custody, and there is a crisis of unmet mental health needs across the female prison escorts. Prison is not and never will be a safe or appropriate place for pregnant women. Everything to do with the process by which women in prisons went for terminations was so wrong. A former employee at the HMP Stroud. In the case of the botched appointment, Kansas said the situation was worsened by the support offered to the women by the prison chaplaincy, in which she described like a relic from the 1950s. The support was delivered by Image, a crisis pregnancy service that has previously claimed that killing newborn babies is no different to abortion. Images have counselled prisoners experiencing child loss and abortion since at least 2010, typically through the Journey, 10-step approach to abortion recovery that includes steps such as guilt and shame and forgiveness. We're not talking it. We haven't even talked about the mental side of it, the physical side of it, the emotional side of it. All the feelings and emotions that these women have to go through when doing it and making such a difficult decision, because it is a very difficult decision as well. A third of women in HMP Stray were placed under care planning processes due to the risk of suicide and self-harm in the 18 months of April 2019 to September 2020. According to data obtained by openDemocracy under the Freedom of Information Act. Oh, my heart bleeds right now. The Ministry of Justice Policy Framework on Pregnancy in Prisons, introduced following stillbirths at HMP Bronzefield and Strype, provides minimal guidance around abortion, does not mention a need for consent, access to high quality non-judgmental support both before, during and after an abortion, which in line is best practice in the community. Nasarati said all women have the right to have children, but not have children, and have the right to parent the child they have in a safe and healthy environment. The prison system violates all aspects of these rights without an impact that often far outweighs any crime committed. A government spokesperson said people in prisons are entitled to the same standards of range of health and social care as they would receive in the community. Though through the Abortion Act of 1967, all women have access to safe abortions on the NHS and is up to 24 weeks. Then why is this being allowed to happen? Why is this being allowed to happen? It's not my place to speak for women in any way, shape or form as a white male, as you guys know. But obviously, I'm just thinking about, you know, their body, their choice and their right to whether or not they want to terminate the baby inside them or not. It is down to their choice. But when they do decide to make that decision, I'm concerned also as well that they're being influenced perhaps not to do it simply because the services is letting them down as well. And I think that's another factor to play into it. And the very fact that we just seen a case there of someone only having one pill and then going through absolutely unbelievable, unbearable pain because they weren't able to take the second pill. I would say, why is there not something? I mean, obviously, we know that prison systems are currently overcrowded, and it's becoming a major issue. Why is there not an option for these pills to be available in the prisons? Is it because they're worried that they will break into like the storage or whatever to get their holds of them? I'm curious to know why there's not that option there, as opposed to taking them straight out of the prison to a clinic and having to drive long miles or whatever to get the pill that they need. Like, why is that a necessity? That's my question that I have to you guys in the chat, because maybe you guys can better help explain to me, because I think this is absolutely shocking number, and the stories are quite horrific. And I'm very glad that openDemocracy have brought this up. Guys, like I say, I've said before, I'm going to put the link for the YouTube channel openDemocracy if you guys want to support them as well. And if you can donate and support their work, it would be greatly appreciated to support their work as well, because they do very good stories. So this is an exclusive from them, and all credit to them, guys. But what do you make of this story? What do you make of abortions, women's right to choose for themselves, for those in prisons, whatever the situation may be? Well, how does it make you feel, and what do you think the government should do about it, or a future Labour government could do about it to prevent such measures? Let me know down in the comment section below. I'm very eager to hear your thoughts on this, guys. Like, share and subscribe as always. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.